Happy New Year's, my algebra learners. I really have missed you. I'm so glad that we get to interact again. So please go ahead and grab a piece of paper and a writing utensil. I hope that math is everywhere has shaken the cobwebs out of your brain and you're ready to focus in on math again. You have two equations here. Please go ahead and determine the slope and the y-intercept from the following equations. Pause the video. When you're done, unpause it and let's see if you're right. Go ahead and take a moment and look at your work and what you came up with, and notice what you did that was the same and what you did that was different than what is on your screen. Remember that first equation, the y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5, that's in our slope-intercept form. So our slope is the m, which means our rise is -1 and our run is 2. That's our slope. Means you're going to go up 1 and over 2. The direction is determined by that negative. That means that our line is going to point to the negative side of the number line, and it's going to look like you're going downstairs. That b is the y-intercept. That means that's our beginning point. So that b includes the sign, and our b then is +5. Or the starting point on that y-axis on the y-intercept would be 0, 5. The next equation, -4x plus 5y equals -60, that's in our standard form, that ax plus by equals c, and we cannot graph from that form. We also cannot determine the slope and the y-intercept from that form. So we need to solve for y in order to do that. And you can see that in the maroon color, I went ahead and did that for you. Once you solved for y or isolated y, you can then figure out what the slope is. And our slope is that coefficient in front of x. So our slope is 4/5. And where we would start on the y-intercept or on the y-axis is at 0, -12. Again, you're going to include the sign. Good job. That was a lot all at once. So hopefully you can remember this because you're going to use it today. Our opportunity to learn is that we're going to use any given equation and we're going to go ahead and graph those lines. And you're going to do that by expressing your thoughts and the possible solutions. So we've already done some recall. We are going to now recall the direction and steepness, and then we're going to practice actually graphing. And then you will have an assignment attached after the video in your assignments of 5 problems that you will work on your own to turn in for the assignment. Here we go. Okay, in our y equals mx plus b, we call that again the slope-intercept form. And again, that means that our m is the slope. That means our y-intercept is whatever that b value is. So we can use this information and we can determine from y equals 1/2 x minus 3, we can determine that the number that's attached to x, again, the coefficient of x, is our slope. So our slope is 1/2. Our y-intercept is just the number on the outside, so it's that -3. It's not being multiplied to x, it's being subtracted. So our y-intercept is -3, and we would write that point as 0, -3, because our x value would be x and our y value would be -3. The direction is used by the sign value attached to the slope. So if our direction is 1/2, it's positive in nature. Whoops, sorry about that. It's positive in nature. So that means that it's going to point up and to the right. So something like this. The steepness is also determined by our slope. Our slope is 1/2. It's less than 1. So that means that it's pretty shallow. 1/2 is less than 1, so it's pretty shallow. We now have the ax plus by equals c. In that ax plus by equals c, we call this the standard form. And again, from that standard form, we cannot graph. We cannot know what the slope is yet. We do not know what the y-intercept is yet. We need to solve for y before we can find the slope or we can find that y-intercept. So in order to solve for y, that means we need to isolate y, which means I'm going to subtract ax to both sides. We've seen this before on the board. Maybe you can recall it. We then need to divide each piece by b. So b would equal negative a over b x plus that c over b. So when we solved for y, again, y equaled negative a over bx plus c over b. And these just sound like craziness because we're just talking in letters, but in reality, these are all words. And the only thing, or numbers I should say, not words, the only thing that we need to worry about is that y and the x stay the same. The a, b, and the c over b, those are all just numbers. So our slope is whatever that negative a over b is, and our y-intercept is whatever that c over b is, whatever those signs are. So go ahead and pause the video, take a moment, fill in everything that I talked about, and then I also want you to then solve for y in our last example there, and tell me what the slope is, what the y-intercept is, what the direction will be, and if it's steep or shallow. When you're done with that, unpause the video and let's see if you're correct. If you did not get those answers, cross out your work and show the correct work there. Do not erase. Remember, erasing means that we are like erasing our mistake, and we learn from our mistakes in math. So just cross it out and write what the correct is. All right, let's move on. We're now going to graph. We need to remember how to graph from these. So in order to do that, it's nice to know what the slope is and the y-intercept is. This is why we did that before we went back into graphing. In this first one here, y equals negative 3/2 x plus 2, we know that it's already in that y equals mx plus b form. It's in our slope-intercept form. So we can read our slope already. We know that our slope is that coefficient of x with the sign. So it's negative 3 over 2. That means our rise is negative 3 and our run is 2. Our y-intercept is where we begin, and that is that number that's being added or subtracted to x. We know in this case that it's positive 2. So our beginning point is 0, 2. With this being said, we have everything we need to know to graph. When you graph a line, you need 3 points. When you have 3 points, it's really obvious the direction and the way that the line will look. So let's go ahead and start with that. We are going to go ahead and start at 0, 2 because that's our beginning point. So on the y-axis, we're going to go up 2, put in a dot, and call it good. That means we're done. Our y-intercept is all done. We never have to look at it again. It has nothing else to do with graphing, except that that is where we're going to start. We can see that our direction is going to be negative, and we know it's going to be negative because our slope is negative. Our slope here says negative. So it's going to point in that negative direction. Now from our beginning point, we can either go up 3 and to the left 2, or we can go down 3 and to the right 2. It doesn't matter, you just have to do the rise and the run. So I'm going to go ahead and start at our starting point and just count. I'm going to go up 2, rise, or up 3, excuse me, I'm going to rise 3. 1, 2, 3. In order to make it go to the negative, that means I have to go left 2. So I'm going to count that. 1, 2. From that new point that I just drew, I'm going to do it all over again. Rise up 3. 1, 2, 3. Go to the left 2. 1, 2. I now have 3 specific points on my graph. That's all I need to do in order to graph it. So I'm going to just draw in what it is I've already done. And that's all there was to graphing. Now this next one over on this side, we need to remember that this is in standard form. This is in our ax plus by equals c form. And again, we can't graph from that. So pause the video, get practice again for solving for y or isolating y. Find the slope and the y-intercept when you do that, and then graph it on your paper. When you're done practicing, unpause the video and see if you're correct. Again, take a moment and reflect what your work looks like as opposed to what the key is telling you. Cross out what you got wrong, look at the key and what it's telling you, and see if you can see where your mistake was. Fix it by doing the problem again. Don't erase anything you've done, just do the problem again. Rewrite it. Okay. Congratulations, you have done your first video of the new semester. This was all recollection. So if you don't understand how to graph or how to change it to that slope-intercept form or how to get any of that information based on those equations, please make sure that you attend our Zoom meetings during your class scheduled times and we can answer those types of questions. This is really important for our new content that is coming out Thursday this week. All right? Good luck, friends. You have 5 more practice problems to do. We'll see you next time. Bye.